Now Tom has a question. In some cases, it is clearly better to place a barrier and mulch heavily. Moving the mulch and cutting the barrier to plant what needs to get through. Are there situations where planting before placing the barrier and mulch will be more appropriate? Well, the one I can think of conveniently for us right now is carrots. Behind me I have a main crop carrot garden we're about to plant. And we have 5 rows of carrots here. And you can see we have sand, a layer of sand to plant the carrot seeds in. Now carrots are very fine seed. They're one of the hardest things to get a good germination on. So what we'll do is here, we'll plant our carrot seed, we'll place our carrot seed on these rows of sand, and then we'll put a little bit of sand on top, and then we'll press them down to get moisture contact on the seed. We might even put a small plank of wood on here or wood board on each row, just to keep the moisture there in the sand, because they take quite a few days to germinate. It can be 10 days, 12 days for carrots to germinate. And in that time, often the little tiny seed dries out and breaks the germination cycle and doesn't germinate, or heavy rains wash the seed out. So we're better off planting carrots like this. Now they don't like too much nitrogen, so we don't put any extra compost on here. We make sure that this is a bed that's had a heavy feeding crop on it before, like corn. So, and that needs a lot of organic fertilizer. So you want something that's drawn out the fertilizer, drawn out particularly the nitrogen. Otherwise the carrots will all grow with moldable roots and they'll all be twisted and funny looking things. So we want low nutrient quality of the soil. We want nice sandy soil. We got nice sandy soil. This is sandy soil. We've loosened it right up so you can see it can go right into this soil. And then when they come up, they're going to be, usually there's going to be too many carrots and we'll have to thin them out because it's hard to do this much area in carrots. So then we've got to thin them out, and they're very fine little tiny seeds, and they really, you know, it's very difficult to grow them through mulch. So what we do is we stirrup hoe between the sand here, between the sand rows as the carrots come up, and then we thin them out to we usually use a 2-finger spacing. So we thin them to 2 fingers, a little bit over a centimetre, say 2 centimetres, something like that, just less than an inch. We thin them down, 1 little carrot seedling for either side of your 2 fingers, all the way along the row. Then when we've done that, we get them up to say 2-3 inches, 50 millimeters to 75 millimeters, something like that. Then they're big enough to receive a mulch. Then we come in and we put the mulch in between the rows and we start growing them with mulch. So in this case, we don't put any kind of barrier, we don't put any kind of mulch stand until we've got the carrots germinated, thinned out, and large enough to receive the mulch. Now that happens with some other vegetables as well. And a lot of things you can say, well, you look after it like a baby, like a tiny little infant takes a lot of attention all day, all night, and then later on it's just all day, and then it's less of a time, and eventually it ends up not needing the same amount of attention. So it's the same with a lot of your systems. You need a lot of attention initially, and then a little bit less attention over time. Actually, when they get to be adolescents, they become a little bit unruly and ugly and out of control, it looks like, and then they become mature and they become beautiful again. And they start off actually as infants that are really cute. Everybody loves little infants and toddlers. And then they become children that are a little bit naughty, and then they become adolescents that are sort of out of control. And then at maturity, they can look beautiful and refined. So a lot of our systems are like that. Food forests are like that. A lot of gardens are like that. And it's the same in the micro sense of strategic timing, things like carrot crops out of the ground. And it becomes kind of like a recipe and each recipe fits into a menu that you get very used to performing. And so otherwise, you know, it's these fine seeds with fine crops that you're bringing through from the initial starting point, where you might not have a barrier and a mulch in position. And carrots happen to be a classic, because if you've ever tried growing carrots from seedlings that you might purchase or you grow in a nursery in a seedling tray, and then try transplanting them into the garden, they very, very rarely turn into good carrots or good straight carrots. Where when you grow them straight out in the garden here into this lovely soft sandy soil, you can get, you know, here you can get big carrots that are maybe this long, and it's still beautiful and juicy and sweet. But you have to learn the recipe from, you know, and that becomes a menu of your production.